Southwick never had a problem being tough, and Ricky Carmichael has never had a problem with Southwick. A perfect 7 for 7 in Motocross 338. Carmichael is back for one last try. At High Point, RC gave James Stewart a head start in Moto 1. Down as much as 11 seconds, Carmichael battled back for the win. Moto 2 was over the moment he jumped over Davey Millsap's head. Carmichael, with his 72nd AMA Motocross class victory, now sits atop the leaderboard with 146 combined career wins. The Sands of Southwick wait for the GOAT and company once again. Beautiful Southwick, Massachusetts, the site for the AMA Toyota Motocross Championship presented by FMF. Round 3, the Moto T Southwick Motocross National. Hi everybody, I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside multi-time National Motocross Champion Jeff Emig, and Aaron Bates is here with us as well. Sand is a story of racing here at Motocross 338. Now earlier today, Jeff, adding to the trouble, a little bit of rain.
And you see that they covered up the starting area though, but rain makes this track good, makes it rough. Incredibly demanding race course here in Massachusetts.
And Ricky Carmichael, the GOAT, greatest of all time, getting ready to see if he can keep that unbeaten streak here at Southwick. What an impressive stat that would be. The man who might be able to stop the streak, none other than the reigning Supercross Series champion, James Stewart.
And James Stewart does not like getting second place, so he's going to come here to Southwick with everything he has in his arsenal, trying to take that top spot on the podium.
Unfortunately for James, he's second in the points right now, 10 markers behind Ricky Carmichael. James's teammate Tim Ferry sits back in third. Let's go back to the last race at High Point. And Carmichael was looking pretty good early on, but then he fell down.
But Carmichael, as he's always done, he gets back up, puts in a huge effort, shows why he has been the most dominant motocross racer of all time. Putting on a charge here, getting past James Stewart.
Catches the 7, passes him, and goes on to take the win in Moto number 1. Moto number 2 was a very dominant performance by Ricky Carmichael, leading every lap to take that win and the overall.
See Carmichael on the line here, he's got a grin on his face. Him and his mechanic Mike Gosler obviously happy about coming into this event. And you look at James Stewart, look at those eyes, very serious and very focused.
Well, and a lot of reason for that is from the battle they had here a year ago, Jeff. This was Moto number 2, and these two really went at it.
Yeah, these guys were battling as hard as I've ever seen. Racetrack here at Southwick is so tough, and then you add on that you're battling another rider at the same time. This is as challenging as motocross gets.
Two of the toughest competitors you'll find anywhere in the world of motorsports. And then James had this horrendous get-off.
Very lucky that he walked away from that. That was a problem with the engine that caused that.
You can see the bike smoldering there on the ground. And now they're getting ready to battle here today. And Grant Langston hopes to get in the mix as well for the Yamaha team. Here's Aaron Bates with a Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Growing up in South Africa, you would expect that the number 8 of Grant Langston aboard the factory Yamaha would do wonders here in the sand at Southwick. Well, I talked to him earlier and he said it is nothing but a love-hate relationship here, and it has been his entire career. Even though he's had 3 moto wins and 1 overall win, there's something about this place that he always ends up digging in the sand. Today, he's sitting second next to Ricky Carmichael's fastest lap time during qualifying, which means he's got the second best gate pick. We caught up with Grant earlier this afternoon to find out just what it is about this place that's his love-hate relationship.
Every time I come here, it's very eventful. The last few years, I've always managed to have a big practice crash, which I did yesterday, but I walked away from it, just got winded. But I always do well in the sand. I love the sand. I've had a lot of success here.
With a unique terrain like sand, boy, confidence can play such a big part of your success.
Well, it definitely does. And what you have to do, and what Langston says, he takes that hard fall, but then he eventually finds the flow of the track and has good success and great finishes here.
The format, as normal, 40 riders in the gate, 2 motos, 30 minutes plus 2 laps, top 20 riders scoring points, and of course, highest point total after the 2 motos wins the overall here today. Practice times, Ricky Carmichael was the quickest this morning. Grant Langston, James Stewart right on pace.
And if you look at, there's a huge gap, though, between the teammates of James Stewart at 155 and his teammate Tim Ferry 3 seconds behind at 158.
Here's our Honda Skycam, and Jeff, give us a little talk about this racetrack.
Well, as you look at the track, you can see how all these different lines, and right now we're on board with Jason Thomas. You can see there's just bumps everywhere. That was an inside line way to the right. Come back down. This is one of the tightest turns. Notice there's an inside line there. Later on in the day, it's going to be nothing but big bowl turns, big sand turns, and it's all about carrying momentum.
The bike's coming to life. There's David Villeman right next to James Stewart, Kevin Windham, Davey Millsaps, Ricky Carmichael, everybody set to go as we get ready. Here's our Suzuki starting grid. Anybody you think who might be outstanding sand rider?
Well, I would say that the man that is the most physically fit is going to be the winner here today. So because it is a tough racetrack.
2 motos on a hot day here in Southwick. And it all begins with moto number 1 when we come back to the sands of Southwick. Motocross 338 coming up next here on Speed. 7 Tundra, the truck that's changing it all. Is the passion for 2 wheels in your blood? Well, now you can get all the breaking news, in-depth analysis, and more with the Motorcycle Racing Report. Only at SpeedTV.com, keyword green, presented by Kawasaki. Crowd enjoying the hillsides here at Southwick, looking for the best angle. Jason Thomas looking for the best angle for turn number 1 from our onboard camera.
And I tell you what, I think by the end of this first moto, we're not going to have such a good look through that onboard because there's a lot of roost here at Southwick. Go through a lot of tear-offs, a lot of roll-offs on the goggles. Our helmet cam doesn't have that luxury.
Boy, you can see the sandy nightmare that Southwick is. What a great shot from Jason Thomas as everybody scrambled for position. And James Stewart is the first one into the clean air. Tim Ferry right behind him, Stewart's teammate, and Carmichael sits in 3rd.
And you can see how James Stewart is rocketed out into the lead. Oh, and a rider goes down.
Oh, Thomas right over the bike, and down goes Thomas.
Unbelievable action here. Thomas, you see him, looks like he's going to get back on the bike. That was an ugly one.
Hard to tell who all the riders are that are down. Looks like the 77 machine there, just catching a glimpse. That would be Doug DeHaan's bike.
No problem for the number 7 of James Stewart, though. He has came out here with a vengeance. He has something to prove today, Ralph. Last race at Mount Morris, Carmichael beat him straight up both motos. He's looking to come back and take some wins and some points away.
Michael Lessie rides along in 4th position on the 800. Then it's Gavin Graysick on the 273 and Grant Langston behind him.
Great start for Gavin Graysick. Haven't seen him up in the top 5 of the motocross class here ever, so we'll see how the 30 minutes plus 2 laps will work for him.
Carmichael working the inside of Ferry, and the Kawasaki rider loses the position as Carmichael now moves to 2nd.
Wow, look how rough the track is. This is only the first lap right now. The track is terrible condition here as we go on board with Jason Thomas. See, there's a bike down, hits him. He actually goes over the bars. You see the bike flipped up. He did a 360 all in that, and he couldn't see that bike down because the other rider right in front of him darted out of the way just at the last second.
There's Alessi on the Red Bull KTM. Langston has gotten around Graysick and is now charging after Alessi. Here goes Carmichael, Ferry, and here comes Langston getting around Alessi now. Boy, the inside of that corner just chewed up big.
Oh, it definitely is. And you know, it has got to be so tough to ride these 450 bikes here. There's so much horsepower, and the track just has the biggest sand whoops, deep sand turns, and these bikes throw off so much roost. There's a special way that you have to prepare your goggles for these events. Some riders will use a laminated tear-off, where they will use upwards of 20 to 25 tear-offs. Other riders will use a roll-off system where there's actually a clear film, a roll that goes from side to side. The one thing is you're going to have plenty of it here when you're in riding the motocross class at Southwick.
And now compare that to what you would have on a normal heavy clay track like at a Hangtown.
Well, Hangtown riders will probably use upwards of 5 to 10 tear-offs, not really worry about the roll-offs. But here you also have to, there's actually vents on the goggles, and there's foam on those vents to kind of keep the dust out, the dirt out. But here at Southwick, you'll actually take and put a little baby oil on that foam, and it acts like a filter oil to keep the sand from coming through into your eyes.
And in a normal Supercross, if it wasn't muddy, it'd be even less, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't much of a tear-off guy at all. So in Supercross, I might not even ran any tear-offs. You know, most riders will run 2, 3, 4 tear-offs, but here at Southwick, you're going to pull that roll-off upwards of 50 times.
Well, you can see the suspension really getting a workout on these machines. A high-speed workout at that. Tim Ferry holds down third. Grant Langston closing in on the factory Yamaha here at Southwick. The early stages of this one. Oh, look at this. Tim Ferry has a problem. Here's Aaron with more.
Well, guys, a frustrating moment for Tim Ferry. As you can see, he's trying to get his bike started once again. We've spoke about how difficult Southwick really is, not only on their bodies and how demanding this track really can be, even for the bike. A lot of overheating taking place, a lot of things being done to try to modify the bikes to handle these sorts of conditions, but a very frustrating moment for Tim Ferry at this point.
And it looks like what he's doing is he is messing around with the clutch, trying to adjust the clutch. There might be a problem with that.
Well, the problem for James Stewart is now the fact that Ricky Carmichael is closing in on the Makita Suzuki. The two factory riders getting set for another great battle here at Southwick. Boy, I just love watching these two when they get together, because you just know they both want to win so bad, and they have so much respect for each other that they're just going to throw everything they have in their arsenal at each other, and you're about to see another great one here today.
And the crowd responds. They love watching these two guys ride for just those reasons you said. Here today at Southwick, fireworks already going off in the first moto. Carmichael looks pretty comfortable at this point, but one thing we also have to remember is that Kawasaki rider Tim Ferry just had a problem. James Stewart would ride a very similar machine. So we got to wonder if, later on in this moto, there could be a problem there with Stewart's bike.
Well, you got to figure Carmichael's thinking the same thing. You got to wonder how hard he's going to push Stewart here at the very beginning.
Well, and the thing about Southwick is that it's so hard on the suspension. It's hard on the riders. We can see that. But it's also hard on the bike because the heat really builds up in the engine because the bikes are constantly wide open. The throttle is to the lock position just as they just plow through this deep Massachusetts sand. And remember what happened with Stewart last year. There was an engine failure. He ended up going over the bars. I'm sure Kawasaki's put in plenty of testing time, plenty of development, research and development to keep that problem from happening again.
A little deeper in the field, fight for fifth. Graysick and Alessi going at it.
Graysick having an unbelievable ride here. The first moto at Southwick.
Graysick on the Soar Academy Honda out of Ohio. He's had a lot of personal things to overcome this year. A lot of tough times for that family, but Krasik battling back, doing a great job here this afternoon.
Well, and that's what a sport like motocross can do, is it gives you that arena, that place where you can totally focus and dedicate all of your energy, keep your mind off other things.
Michael Lessie on the 800.
Krasik trying to move on the inside of Alessi. Alessi's he's had his share of contact in his short professional career here, so he's always aware of somebody being on the inside of him.
Mike had a rough season in the Supercross Lights class, but it's been doing pretty good so far in the outdoor season. James Stewart, he claimed both of the Supercross championships, both the AMA and the world title this year. There's Mike Gosler, mechanic for Ricky Carmichael. He just got around Josh Summey on the 36.
Stewart really seems to be guarding the inside lines, and I mean tight. Typically here at Southwick, you carry a lot of momentum on the outside, use them wide lines, but Stewart really hugging it tight as they get through some of these lapped riders. See right there, you see James Stewart actually hit the rear brake to really stay tight and almost square that turn up, and that's not the way to ride Southwick.
Yeah, but look at this. Carmichael is right there. Carmichael takes the lead away from Stewart, but James tries to counterattack.
Boy, it's so evident when one bike and one rider are dialed in, and right now it looks like Stewart, as Carmichael gets past him, that he's just not comfortable. See him just bouncing all around, just not having that Southwick flow that I was talking about. It is painful to have to battle at the very top level of our sport when your flow is off like that.
Boys, it's something to watch. I mean, James, you know, is giving that bike everything he can handle.
Oh, and Stewart's the type of rider that if the bike is doing that, he's not going to slow down. He's not going to back it off. He's going to try even harder. So that's why Stewart has always been such a tenacious champion and racer, and very exciting to watch.
James will try to make up for the deficiencies of the bike with his own skill level, and a lot of times when you have that much skill, you can do that. It's just even tougher here at Southwick. Stay with us. Across 338 because the American Legion Post here in the area runs the facility.
And they actually developed a sticker, a logo for this place, said Motocross 338, looked like one of the federal interstate, you know, the red, white, and blue interstate shield. But this thing is anything but a freeway. This place is rough and nasty.
I don't know. I've been on a couple of highways that looked a little bit like this at times.
Going through Pennsylvania, maybe?
Yeah. Makes you wonder where your tax dollars are going, right? Ricky Carmichael knows exactly where this road leads. It's leading right to the checkered flag for now.
And to plenty of dollars along with it.
James Stewart doing everything he can to hang on to that bike. Look at that. Just makes you appreciate his riding ability even more, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. And, I mean, we talk about Stewart. I mean, he has had such a great season up to this motocross championship. Now he's had a lot of problems, and we'll really see what he's made of here. And this guy is so determined to win that in this situation like this, he's not liking it. And they'll get together with Team Kawasaki, with Big James Stewart. They'll figure out a plan. Eventually, they'll figure it out, and they'll win some races.
Definitely a driven young man is James Stewart. You saw Troy Adams on the 34 out of Florida, the Team Rockstar Suzuki. One thing James Stewart did very well during the Supercross season, Jeff, was how he railed through the corners. As we take a look from high above in our Honda Performance First onboard camera.
And you can see those switchbacks, and when you're a guy like Ricky Carmichael right now, he totally has the flow of this place. It seems like you just bounce from bump to bump, just like you won. And when it's off, when you're not right or the bike's not right, it seems like you come up short on everything. Every bump you hit, you're just missing the line that you want. And it's brutal at that point.
Last lap, well, a lot of this goes right back to the shot we had just before the gate drop, looking at the facial reactions of both of these riders. Ricky looked very nice and relaxed and comfortable. James looked a little bit tight. Maybe James knew his bike wasn't right.
Well, I think you pretty much know throughout all of the qualifying and practice sessions whether or not you're on, you know, and sometimes it's not just the bike, you know, but it's up to the rider and the teams to get their bike set up, but it's so difficult to prepare for a track like this, and it's like the number 4 biker, Ricky Carmichael, definitely as prepared as as confident as what he's ever been, and he is showing it here in the first moto.
He's halfway home to completing his winning streak of staying unbeaten here at Southwick. 7 for 7 coming in as you look from our Honda aerial cam.
I mean, in the history of motocross, and then you're talking about a rider, and then you're saying, oh, he's unbeaten here. Ricky's had 2 perfect seasons. I mean, that's just mind-boggling that he has been that good in his career. I mean, you look back to all the greatest racers and all of the legends and favorite riders that we've had. Nobody's ever come close to that.
That's why they call him the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Ricky Carmichael waving to the crowd and celebrating on this final lap.
I mean, he's just riding around, waving to the crowd, kind of looking back, taking it easy. Who gets to do that at Southwick? I never got to do that.
Ricky Carmichael. Look at that. I mean, it's like a victory lap. That's how big the gap is from first to second. Very comfortable. Here's Carmichael. Here comes David Villeman.
Villeman's going to have to take an extra lap now. I'm sure he didn't want to do that.
He might let him back by before they're done.
There he did.
There he did. Checkered flag for Ricky Carmichael. He'll win Moto #1, and David Villeman can pull right off. We'll be right back for more from Southwick.
Coming soon to Speed.
It's absolutely crazy. Your Nissan has been picked, bro.
These are the folks that put a roof over her head by putting some Hot Wheels in their driveway. Because when you make it to the top, you gotta give some thanks in a big way. Payback Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed. There's Ricky Carmichael. Looks like he took a beating, but instead he takes the win here in Moto #1. Let's head down. Here's Aaron with Grant Langston.
Well, Grant Langston having his best moto finish of the season. Grant, that's got to be bittersweet for you coming up here. This track has been both good and bad to you. What does this do for your confidence?
Well, you know, I knew from qualifying and practice that I had the speed, and the only problem is those guys are going pretty fast, and you know, it's if to race with them, I got to get a better start and be there with them. So, you know, I'm happy with third. I think the second moto, if I get a better start, that I could, you know, give everything I got and see how close I can come, because you know, I knew I was losing a bit of ground, but I actually wasn't pushing too hard.
Here's our Toyota Trucks unofficial results from Moto #1. Boy, Carmichael looked awful tired, Jeff, for a guy that made it look awful easy.
Looked like he had a little bit of sand in his eyes too, but great finish by Gavin Graysick, that moto.
Well, let's find out how it was for Ricky Carmichael. He is with Aaron.
Ricky Carmichael wasting no time that first Moto RC. Started about 6 seconds behind and ended up 6 seconds ahead. That was quite the race out there. Were you expecting the battle, or no battle out there whatsoever?
No, I knew he was going to be good, and I couldn't really get by him, so I just waited and waited and waited, and then a lapper got in my way. I mean, they were getting in both of our way, and capitalized on it, messed him up a little bit and got by him, and the rest was history.
All the riders on the track are AMA members. Are you? If not, call 1-800-AMA-JOIN or visit AMADirectLink.com. AMA, rights, riding, and racing. Now let's head into this week's interview with motocross journeyman Tim Ferry.
I have a son, he's 2.5 now. Yeah, life's changed with a kid. Anybody who has one knows that it's a lot of work. I know why my parents were always so tired growing up, but he's definitely made, you know, put everything into perspective. You know, racing's was the only thing that I ever did, and you know, now we, you know, split the time with him. Who's this?
Baba.
Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, what about Dad? We're gonna start cheering for Dad. My wife, she takes care of him while I'm doing my training, and luckily I'm able to bring them to a lot of the races, and that way I don't have to leave 30-something weekends a year, so it's good for the family. I mean, I'll do diapers. You know, I try to take the load off her when I can. I think he's pretty into the riding. He's a big fan of it, I think, already. Not just a dad fan, he's a fan of Bubba. I hear about Tutu Chad and Ricky all the time.
It's all about Bubba and Ricky and Tutu Chad.
Oh, here, play with Daddy's bike. Oh well, you know, it's vroom vrooms all day. He's either playing with them or he's wanting me to pop in some kind of freestyle tape. So I'm trying to steer him away from the freestyle because he wants to crash. He thinks crashing's cool.
Oh, Bubba, Dada.
Really, right now, my son is my hobby. If I'm not at work, I'm actually spending time with him or my wife. It's very important for me to have them there because I think if I wasn't able to have them there, you know, as much as they are, then maybe I would have already taken another route as far as occupation-wise. My opinion is that the biggest change has been in motorcycles. You go from 2-stroke to 4-stroke. There's quite a few things involved, you know, the 4-stroke, and I think that's the biggest change we've seen. It seems like for some reason one rider has kind of dominated. Obviously Ricky is the greatest so far, but I think it's more the bikes that have changed it. And it seems like to me there's a lot of guys that are riding really good and that are in really good shape. It's starting with the lights class now. These guys are coming in, they're taking it very serious. They're having a lot of backing from the manufacturers, from the sponsors. I think it's only going to get harder to compete as this group of guys comes through. People keep asking me why I'm still doing it, why I'm actually getting better at this age, and I don't really know the exact answer. I think you start to appreciate things as you get a little bit older. It's still a job for me, but at the same time I enjoy it. It's what I like to do and it's what I love to do, and that's why I'm here doing it now. It's a lot of fun again. They always say I seem to bounce back somehow, and like this is the 3rd time back on a factory team, so it's good.
Daddy!
All right, Daddy's back in.
Daddy's back in.
Daddy's cool again.
Daddy's fast as well, Jeff. Beginning with the Supercross season this year, this veteran rider showed he was ready to go at it hard this year.
Well, like he admitted, you know, he probably appreciates it more now than what he did when he was younger, and he's making the best of it.
We'll see if Tim Ferry can make the best of Moto 2 when we come back to Southwick. Getting set for Moto number 2 here at Motocross 338. Let's check in with Aaron Bates for a Progressive Direct pre-race report.
Well, guys, a quick update of what happened to the number 15 of Tim Ferry aboard the factory Kawasaki. As you saw on the first moto, he had to push his bike off of the track. Well, I caught up with team manager Mike Fisher earlier between motos to find out exactly what it was that took place. And he said, believe it or not, in between all of this sand, you are going to find the occasional rock. And they did just that. A rock from one of the 454 strokes spat up and actually busted the clutch case. In turn, they lost all of the oil. And when I walked all over there, all you could smell was an entirely burnt engine. So what they've done, they replaced everything from motor, engine, you name it, clutch to everything. He's ready and lined up for the second moto.
Well, Ralph, these bikes are pretty dependable these days, and so for Timmy to have a problem there with the bike was a little bit uncharacteristic, and you've seen that was something that came from the outside to damage the engine.
And it sounds like they're not taking any chances either. They're going to fix and change everything on that bike that could be a mechanical problem. Make sure Tim's pretty much got a brand new motorcycle for this moto. Here's Jason Thomas with our onboard camera. Clear view for now.
He's going to have to get a little better start than last time if we're going to keep our helmet cam clear, that's for sure.
Boy, the roost coming off those rear tires is something else here at Southwick. Carmichael gets the easy lead early on with Stewart right behind him, and Alessi and Langston giving chase, and Millsaps in the gray riding gear on the 118. Boy, Stewart almost went off the edge of the track there.
Way there on the outside. Track's brutal at this point. You even see some shadows casting across the track here late in the, or early in the second moto, late in the day.
Boy, James is coming after him hard.
Stewart wants a piece of it.
Let's go back, take a look at the Progressive Direct whole shot replay.
And you see how deep the lines are coming off the gate. Riders going bar to bar, and Carmichael sneaks by on the inside. Stewart was there first. You can see other riders here, Clark and those guys going wide. huge pile up there in the middle of the pack.
And now, just as soon as Stewart started to close in, Carmichael starts to stretch it out. Whoa, God, look at the front end wiggle on Stewart's bike.
Yeah, the bike looked really twitchy there and so fast going down through one of those G-outs. That's, we'll have to keep an eye on that as this moto wears on, but right now, Carmichael definitely dialed in.
The view from the Honda aerial cam, and boy, I'll tell you what, Carmichael's bike just looks rock solid as you can be here at Southwick. And Stewart looks like his is giving him all sorts of handling problems. Look at the difference of how they go through that corner.
Yeah, and then you got Grant Langston, number 8. Remember, he injured his shoulder at the very first Supercross at Anaheim 1 back in January. So all season he's been trying to recover, and a shoulder injury is really tough to come back from. But yet here on one of the roughest, most demanding race courses that we have, he's having his best ride of the season.
Caught a glimpse of Davey Millsaps. Here he comes on the Honda, number 118. The factory Honda battling with Michael Lessie on the KTM, number 800.
And Millsap putting in a good second moto here. He was 22nd in the first moto. Good finish here inside the top 10, maybe even the top 5 will give him a top 10 overall.
Millsaps finished on the podium here last year. The big rider, big in stature, chasing the KTM-mounted Michael Lessie.
And there is not a smooth part on the track at this point. Bumps everywhere. You can see a Lessie really being thrown around, bike twitching back and forth.
Well, while these two continue to battle, let's check in with Aaron Bates for more. Here's Aaron.
Well, you guys, you're noticing Nick Way, the number 27 aboard the Zions MDK bike. You see him pulling off here. He's getting himself a new set of goggles. He pulled up, he had no goggles on. You can only imagine what it's like out there, having all that sand blasting into your eyes, trying to see, trying to get yourself not cross-rutted in between these deep ruts. It's been a tough day for Nick Way.
Well, you can see how tough it is on the eyes, too.
Well, it's tough on the eyes, but also remember Nick Way is recovering from an injury that he suffered at Houston, where he actually broke the IP joint in his thumb. So right now, it's really tough to hold on to the bike. You get pulled back, and if you don't have any grip strength, Southwick is not the place you want to be riding a motorcycle.
Davey Millsaps takes the spot away from Michael Lessie. Mike trying to come back, using that outside line. Meanwhile, Makita Suzuki of Ricky Carmichael leads here in Moto 2. And the number 4, Moto number 1 in the lead here in Moto number 2, and if he can continue to hang on for the win, he will go undefeated in his racing career here at Southwick. Now Grant Langston trying to get inside of James Stewart. Boy, he really bobbled on the edge of that corner. It cost him a lot of time.
Well, he's putting out so much effort. He was going to try to stick it in there on the inside of Stewart. Couldn't make it happen. There was a lapper there. He's putting out a lot of effort. We heard from him after the first moto. He feels really good. He's felt good all weekend. So right now, his confidence is probably the best that it's been since he was a lights motocross champion.
Here he comes. Right alongside, that's Butler on the 524. Oh boy, it gets tight down in that corner. And Langston takes over second.
The crowd is going crazy. Not too many people actually passed James Stewart. Langston having a fantastic ride here in the second moto.
Here's a battle for fourth. Millsaps and Ferry.
The Ferries had to ride up to this position. Looks like they dropped Michael Lessie at this point.
Ferry to the inside. Boy, he tightened up the line in that corner, and that's going to work, Jeff.
Nice move by Tim Ferry. Seemed like Millsaps there was just kind of standing on the pegs, wasn't really showing much aggression, but I tell you who is. That's number 8 and number 7. These guys are in a heated battle at one of the roughest tracks on the circuit.
And James Stewart is not going to like the fact that he is sitting in third place.
So these guys not only are dealing with the track, they're dealing with lap riders and the shadows.
And Stewart takes the spot back from Langston. But not for long. Oh boy, there's almost contact in there. They're just swapping the position almost every corner.
Awesome racing here at Southwick. Motocross 338. See, Langston's going to try a different line. Just gets by the lapper.
Now Stewart starts to stretch it out a little bit. Traffic slowing down the progression of Grant Langston. For a guy who doesn't like racing here that much, he's got to feel pretty good about the way he's riding here in Moto number 2.
Well, this is true, and like I said, it's all about the flow, and Stewart seems to be bouncing around. He's not really carrying a lot of momentum through his turns. Langston, on the other hand, really seems to be dialed in. He's dealing with the track well.
Now Langston starting to close that gap up again as we go back to the Honda aerial cam.
The lap riders are playing a big part in this battle. You see there's two guys between, or no, one guy between them now.
And here's Tim Ferry continuing to charge up from the back. We'll be right back to Massachusetts.
It's the network.
Welcome back to Motocross 338. This is Moto number 2 from round 3 of the 2007 AMA Toyota Motocross Championship Series.
Well, as we can see from the overhead camera, there is bumps everywhere on this track. It is the toughest track of the circuit, the most physically demanding on the rider. And if anybody's ever trained with the heart rate monitor, you'll know what I'm talking about here. A guy like Carmichael will take his heart rate, and within the first lap, will have it over 180 beats a minute, and will actually hold it there until the finish. So that's about 35, 36 minutes at that pace, and that's incredibly tough.
There's Andrew Short in 5th, and that's a new study that was just done recently, wasn't it, Jeff?
Yeah, Dr. Augustine out of Florida did that, and man, I mean, I've lived it before, but I never wore a heart rate monitor actually during my race. Carmichael and a lot of the top guys these days, they actually wear a heart rate monitor and download all of that information, you know, work with their trainer to try to, you know, improve things and see exactly what it's going to take to compete in these races.
Well, they've always said that the stars of motocross are some of the most physically fit athletes in the world, and with studies like that, it's hard to argue with.
Well, and as we see this great battle forming here between Millsaps and Wyndham, you know, the thing about motocross is it's, you know, there is a huge element of danger involved in this also, and the fact that you can get injured doing this. So, you know, it's not like when you're training, you're setting on a stationary bike. I mean, there's this heart rate also involved with all these other factors, and man, I have a lot of respect for these riders, and I've lived this, and it's a tough sport.
Kevin Wyndham takes the position away from Davey Millsaps here on the final lap.
And Millsaps has put in a pretty good ride here the second moto, but I just seen him looking back. He's standing on the pegs. Looks like he's had just about enough of this Massachusetts sand.
And he doesn't have far to go now. We are on the final lap, and Ricky Carmichael, the GOAT, will end his motocross career here at Southwick Motocross 338 undefeated. 8 times he's been here, 8 times he has stood on the top step of the podium in this class. That is absolutely incredible.
I don't even know what else we can say about Ricky, but that it's just been such a pleasure, and to call these races with him this year so far, and you know, in his career, and just what an honor it is, and to get to watch him. He's the greatest of all time, no doubt about it.
The only problem with it is it's coming to an end. The opportunities to see Ricky Carmichael at his best on a motocross bike are slowly winding up. But Ricky Carmichael is going to win again. And the victory lap begins before the race is even over.
Another moto in Ricky's career where he's looking back, riding around on the final lap, knowing that he just completely ruined the competition.
And a big reason for that is his work ethic. And I spoke with Ryan Pemberton, crew chief for the NASCAR team that Ricky is working with now. And they said they've never seen an athlete in that sport with the work ethic of Ricky Carmichael. And it came through again here today as he wins Moto number 2, Moto number 1, and the overall here at Southwick. 8 for 8 in his motocross career here at Southwick. Unbelievable history by Ricky Carmichael in Massachusetts. We'll be back to talk to him.
Speed TV.
7 AMA Supercross and Superbike events on Speed On Demand online, and it's all free courtesy of Yamaha. So log on now to speedtv.com, keyword Yamaha, and get up to speed. Have you called the AMA yet? What are you waiting for? 1-800-AMA-JOIN or AMADirectLink.com. Protect your right to ride. Well, the riders have made their way over to the podium area. Here's Grant Langston getting rid of all that sand.
Big effort by Grant, that moto. Catching up, passing Stewart, battling with him, but was only good enough for a third.
Here's the Toyota Trucks results page for Moto number 2, and Andrew Short breaks into the top 5. And a good day for Gavin Grayson. He hangs on to finish 11th. Here's Aaron.
What an eventful year it's been for you, but what does this do for your confidence after you sustained such a long injury off?
You know, it helps out a lot. You know, it's been up and down year, and we've been building up each week, and you know, we work pretty hard, and I keep feeling like, you know, I'm letting them down by not being on the podium or battling for the podium.
Here's the Toyota Trucks overall results, and you can see what a great day it was for Gavin Grayson. He ends up with a 5 and an 11, and he ends up 6th overall. Andrew Short comes home 4th. Here's Aaron.
James, struggling a little bit today. You didn't look as though you're 100% comfortable on the bike.
You know, we just, I don't know. We've been just trying our butts off, and you know, I'm happy. You know, I'm getting valuable points, but of course I want to win. You know, I don't ever go down and lay down, but you know, he's just riding really good right now. You know, it's just he's on a roll. I'm excited about going to next week. You know, it's one of my favorite tracks on tour, and just gotta go have fun, I guess.
Well, he's doing everything he can. Here's the points. It's about 16 separating the two. Heading into the next round, and Langston helps himself out, moving up into 3rd in the championship standings. Here's Aaron.
Well, ever since he entered the premier class here at Southwick, he has never tasted defeat, and today no other. Ricky, once again, you're able to master this track. All these guys here being from Florida, maybe it was a bit of an advantage for you guys, but what is it that you do is so different from everyone else?
Well, obviously growing up in the sand helps, but at that rate, I mean, this really wasn't all about speed, it was about endurance, and gotta give it up for my trainer, Eldon Baker. It's where it's at. You know, that was fitness today.
Well, whatever it was, Jeff, it worked.
And the fans here at Southwick got to see Ricky Carmichael victorious one more time.
The record books will show that Ricky Carmichael was undefeated, a perfect 8 for 8 in his motocross racing career here at Southwick. For Aaron Bates and Jeff Emig, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Southwick. Congratulations, Ricky. You